Remember, my undergraduate degree is political science, so I know this well. My undergraduate degree is political science. I know this well. I'm not a Moor, will never be, don't want to be. Respect them, but I'm not interested.
Why you're Moorish American. And I would say that there's disorder or disrespect to any association that is established under the Moorish Divided National Movement with the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and the principles of nationality and the directives of the Prophet Noble Jew Ali at all. In fact, the MHHS, that particular association, it was established to follow those constitution and bylaws, because by doing so, you then would be better prepared to take your place amongst the affairs of man and link yourself back up to the family of nations. So yes, you should follow those bylaws and constitutions, because they prepare you to do just that when you go out on the prophet's word, when you go out on the prophet's word into society. And remember the relationship that bindeth you. That's chapter 25. In terms of the Asiatic covenant. Let's see. We have that. Let me just say that since I mentioned it. Let me say that, so that when you go out on it, do you have the Quran open in front of you? I know I should. I just gave mine.
The Quran.
Yes, chapter 25. You read it all the time when we do class. Can you? Okay, so I'll say again. So when it's to follow those constitution and bylaws as a member of the association MSTSA, as it was prescribed and designed to be, and by following those constitution and bylaws, again I say, it prepares you to go out and take your place amongst the affairs of man, and link yourself back up to the family of nations. It is not to be misconstrued as to the Constitution for the law of the land, which, by the way, is authored by your ancestors, who are the true grantors, period, on this ancestral estate. Doing so, granting that these foreigners have their place here as a peace, I'll call it as a peace document, because they came here as slaves originally and they went through their thing. So they are still on your ancestral estate. That is why the prophet says, you shall gain back your heritage and your lost estate in a conflict that cannot be told in words. Please don't forget, this is still your ancestral estate, period. And that will never, ever, ever change. Just because someone came in and started naming things, or really in real talk reality, because they were about commerce and about trying to be useful themselves, to grow food themselves, to do things to support themselves. All right, so that's what they're here for, but that doesn't suck you into that. You must remember that this is your heritage, this is your inheritance, this is your ancestral estate, period. And that won't change even if you are asleep, but it will slip you if you remain asleep and don't do what he said, which was to wake up you sleepy-headed Moors, because you're dealing with the nature of thievery, trickery, and deceit, and it is called in law, all right? Because everything is about the law, because you are the law manifested in the flesh, all right? And it's called in law cheat. And if you would study that and look at that instead of trying to study these commercial processes that have nothing to do with your ancestral estate, your nationality, or your inheritance. Nothing whatsoever.
I want to be clear on it. My elders are Moors, some of them in Philadelphia.
I made a big mistake. If I do go back to law school, y'all gonna pay for it, because I'm not taking out no more loans. Y'all hear me?
So the reason you're not in the condition or that you're incompetent, one, is because you're not honoring your mothers and fathers by name or by principle. It's that you're just not doing that. It doesn't matter why, though. See, here's what the point is. It doesn't matter why. When you know better, you do better. So the prophet came to teach you to be yourself and to make sure you put and affix and your title to the estate, which is El and Bay, so that you would be in the condition, at least partly, if you're clear, because you can't just do it without really understanding what you're doing, because you still can be incompetent.
Now, the Moorish strategy is to get a fez and get a sovereignty packet. I respect them. That's not my strategy. You cannot file for equality. You cannot file for justice. You cannot file for freedom. You don't file for sovereignty. You take it.
Now, if you doubt, there's that's on you. All right. So the nation being in the womb, the uplifting of fallen humanity is the uplifting of the woman, because that's where the nation is. So we lay down the law and we enforce the law. Ill and bathe. Fundamentally. All the rest are attainment degrees. You don't even think, why think about that? It's like trying to go get a master's degree as you know it to be, and you haven't even passed third grade yet in terms of, assignment of titles. So be the ill and the bathe. Simple. Because that's the fundamental. The lawmakers and law enforcers. And it doesn't mean that it's feminine or masculine. It just means that's who we are. Ills and bathe. That's the title.
You take it. You don't file for it. You take it. There's no application that's going to make the white man treat you any differently because you claim to be indigenous to American soil. You are living in a fantasy land. You are living in a fantasy land. And I'm going to let your ass stay there.
All right, chapter 25 of the Holy Quran reads, "Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother had given you stock. Let the bonds of affection, therefore, unite thee with thy brothers and sisters, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thine own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him out. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole nation, and his care be continued to you all, and your love to each other."
Okay. Now, the plaintiff having admitted by his demurrer to the plea in abatement that his ancestors were imported from Africa. His ancestors were imported from Africa and sold as slaves. He is not a citizen of the state of Missouri, or according to the Constitution of the United States, and was not entitled to sue in that character in the court.
Number 49 in the oral statements, Brother T. Booker Bay, Grand National Treasurer, said that when at a meeting where the Holy Prophet was present, he saw 10 Arabians, 5 Turks, 2 Chinese, and 1 Japanese join the Moorish Science Temple of America. Why? Because this is the uniting of Asia. This is not about you Moors only. You think you're somebody because Noble Drew Ali came from amongst Moors. He came for everybody. Anybody who recognized the 5 principles, recognized they had one of those prophets that he said we honor all those, they got down with what was going down. Right? They got down with what was going down. Like we said, 10 Arabians, 5 Turks, 2 Chinese, and 1 Japanese. Now, it goes on to say, and the secretary asked the Holy Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Prophet, these people have got their nationality. What should I put on their nationality card? Which goes back to the same thing that Mother Anita was saying about these people who don't know. they don't study. Because they're Asiatic. What do you mean what you put on their nationality card? You put L or Bay or whatever. What do you mean what do you put? With us, right, the divine constitution, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality.
Wow. Got it. Oh.
So
Yeah.
if these members, these 10 Arabians, 5 Turks, 2 Chinese, and 1 Japanese, joined the Moorish Science Temple, you think they joined and then became Arabians, Turks, Chinese, and Japanese?
Right. They already had their...
Think about it. These people are trying to tell you, you need to come to this building to be a Moorish American, which is a nationality. And then Noble Ali told the Moors, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality. So how did these 10 people become Arabians, 5 people become Turks, 2 people become Chinese, and 1 person become Japanese? Did they become that because they joined the Moorish Science Temple?
Exactly.
If you think they became that by joining the Moorish Science Temple of America, you're brainwashed by whoever it is, the head of your temple or whatever. Because you're not thinking straight. You're not using your common sense.
This being the case, the judgment of the court is in favor of the plaintiff on the plea, and abatement was erroneous. Okay. If therefore the facts he states do not give him or his family a right to freedom, the plaintiff is still a slave and not entitled to sue as a citizen, and the judgment of the circuit court was erroneous on that ground without any reference to the plea and abasement.
So there was obviously lessons to be learned for those of us who have been branded Negro, colored, and black to come up to the plate to learn. That's why he said, come, hear the truth about your nationality and your birthright. Because even the other, the Arabians, the Turk, and the Chinese, they knew about national principles, but they also knew that we had been colonized, or we had been branded, and we were this, in the generations lost connection with that branding, or with knowing that we were, with knowing that we are not Negroes, colored, and black. So, of course, they must have, and what you're saying, they must have been compelled to associate with another association or group of people that had the principles of nationality within their structure and their organization, Islam.
I'm going to stop there, brothers and sisters. If you haven't studied the Dred Scott decision, make sure you study the Dred Scott decision. Okay?
And this goes to all of the new Moors that come in, and they get totally elated and electrified when they find out that they are not Negro, colored, and black. And that's about all they really know. They didn't yet, or haven't acquired yet, the information that they were supposed to come and hear the truth about. And that is that they are not Negro, colored, and black. Come hear the truth about your nationality and your birthright. But they heard enough to know that they feel as though they have something to shout about. And that would be Oral Statement 68, where it says, I bought you something that you can't shout about. You can be happy about, but it doesn't mean that you don't study and figure out how to speak and strategize and speak in an intelligent tone to make that happen, to effectuate your birthright, not your commercial process, your birthright.
Y'all want me to go back to law school? I got accepted to law school about 10 years ago, and I turned it down. Y'all want me to go back to law school? I got accepted to law school about 10 years ago, and I turned it down. Hold on. Yeah. Nah, I got this. I got this.
This is so not a game. It is so much more. Putting your appellation on a piece of paper and getting a card. It is so much more. And you need to take the necessary time to study, and then you need to take the necessary time to absorb, because it is vast.
To go back to law school, I got accepted to law school about 10 years ago, and I turned it down. If I do go back to law school, y'all gonna pay for it, because I'm not taking out no more loans. Y'all hear me? If I get accepted to a law school, are y'all willing to raise the money for me to go? Because law school is that's going to be about a $300,000 investment. Would y'all raise the money for me to be educated at law school so I can come and fight for your children? Okay? If y'all would raise the money, I would do it, but I'm not paying for it. Now,
But again, Noble Drew Ali prophesied that your brothers from the east are going to come to save you, dummies. So that you wouldn't even have to go to European. But that's only if you have a nationality. Moors know what I'm talking about when we go to the Brothers of the East stores and how they treat us when we go to their stores. And how they treat Negroes who are right next to us in the store. And Negroes looking at us like, how come? And then we tell them that we're Moors, but they don't want to hear nothing. That's called mental slavery.
so what are our options, brothers and sisters? We can fill out some sovereignty packages. Okay? And by the way, I don't disrespect nobody's strategy. I love my Moorish brothers. If they want to fill out sovereignty packages, they can fill out sovereignty packages, claim their nationality, do all the paperwork they want to fill out when they think that will make them free and get America back from the white man. Good luck. That's not my strategy. I am an African. I will never identify as nothing else from that. Hold on. Yeah. Nah, I got this. I got this.
Let me say this too. They play this game with like we were talking about in class earlier. They play this game in their virtual reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But the clowns, the punks, will never call in. Never. Never, ever do they call in. Ever. But they'll talk all this BS on social media and in chats and all that stuff, but they'll never call in. Ever.
Yes.
So you should take that as a sign. When you hear people talk BS about RV Bay and Taj Street Bay and whoever else they talk BS about that's actively out here doing something, ask yourself, how come they never call in and talk BS to them, to their ear? Never.
Yes.
Just keep that in mind.
And